Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another one of our streams. Happy Saturday, everyone. Hope everyone is having a fantastic one. I am here joined today by a very good friend of mine, a friend I've known for almost 10 years now, which is insane to think about. First time ever on the channel. I want everyone to give a warm welcome to my good buddy, Renegade. How's it going, buddy?
I was gonna do like a Jarvis intro or something. Like, thank you for the invite, kind sir. And then I was like, I suck at British accents. No, and I appreciate you. Here's to 10 more years, and hopefully we can have a good time in that. You know?
I know it. I was thinking about it earlier. I'm like, it's really been like 10 or so years since we've met. But yeah, it's been a great couple of years, and I hope everyone's having a great day. We don't have any major topics, so we'll see what people pop in and want to talk about. It's kind of been a crazy week. We had some cancellations this week. We've had some news headlines. We had that new Shazam trailer drop, and a couple of easy things. But like Noah, how's it going on your end? Are you having a good day before we just jump into the stream itself?
You know what? I was, and then my gut sank when you were like, "Hey, let's talk about all the depressing DC." Or I'm like,
sure.
I don't know.
Cancellations and letting people go, and yeah, for sure.
Like, they closed out Legends, which I have not seen the last 2 seasons of Legends, which I need to do. And then, you know, all of the shows we watched growing up are coming to a close, man, whether it be, you know, with official ending or not. Like,
sure,
it's depressing. I remember sitting around the lunch table and at school and just being like, I think I introduced you to Flash as a character, both a character or as the show itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's actually very funny you bring that up. Yeah, you introduced me to this entire world. In a way, you've almost like introduced the channel, because like I started it to talk about those shows, and yeah, and they're all ending. All your Flash and your Arrow and your Supergirls and your Legends, and it's kind of sad to see.
Stargirl, though, I saw a trailer and it looked really kick-ass. I'm gonna start. My whole thing is like, now that we don't have interconnected shows anymore, or at least not like me, I don't really need to go split my time, especially now I'm an adult and we have lives, right? We have a lot of stuff we have to do as obligations and whatnot. Like, it was so, especially as a kid, it was so much easier to go watch Arrow and then tune in Flash and then watch all these crossovers, you know what I mean? But, you know, now I'm limiting myself unless I know I have conscious information beforehand about crossovers and whatnot. I'm just gonna limit myself to one DC show and then max that out.
And then move on to that. Honestly, that's very fair. I have a problem where I just don't finish shows, where I just have 50 shows started and they're just like, I'll get back to them eventually. But no, that's completely fair. Stargirl, you know, we've talked a lot about Stargirl on this channel. I loved Stargirl. I think it was one of the better ones, if I'm being completely honest. And, you know, not to spoil you on it, but there were some connectivities to the larger DC world in that show as well, which I think will honestly, like, age it better. Like, you can kind of go back and, like, oh, yeah, that was connected to this other stuff.
What little I know about it is the JSA is in it, right?
Yes.
Is Wildcat? I don't know. Is Wildcat in it? A part of that JSA? I know the like background characters than me.
Yeah. So the whole plot of the show is that the original JSA died, and they're trying to like recruit the new ones, and we do have a new Wildcat that's like taking on the mantle of that character. Yeah.
So Wildcat was such an underrated just character overall. Like, everyone thinks he's Batman, right? Like, everyone thinks he's supposed to be like Batman, and when he's depicted in certain like art styles, like that's his whole thing. Like, he kind of does sort of look like a Batman ripoff, right?
Sure.
But then you have other people that, like, I don't know, man. Like, he's just such an underrated character. You know what I mean? I love that. And I get the original, like Ant-Man probably like only had like so much screen time before, obviously, because you said the whole premise of the show. It is what it is, but like he's just so underused. I love seeing that like all these underrated characters are finally getting their limelight. Like the Guardian, they're a smash hit, dude. They're so, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're amazing. They're so, like, no one gave two craps about like the Guardians of the Galaxy before that movie came out. And I don't know if you know this, but that the first movie was such a hit that they basically every like the little bit of like the Guardians of the Galaxy comics the movie shaped the comics going forward.
Sure.
So like from they adopted the designs from the movie comics going forward, the characters' personalities, their more or less their weaponry. They kind of kept some of that. But like Star-Lord had a really trash character design. He was like a Nova. It was like a Nova Corps outfit almost.
Sure.
And they like redid his even his origin. Like the comics were like, my opinion, obviously, but they were not that good. And then the movie came out, and when we got like an origin story, like he was a kid, traveled through space, beyond adventures. His aunt, I don't know if you are really into this, and I don't even think this is canon anymore with all different Marvel, but like his aunt ended up, like his godmother, his aunt or something, ended up being like one of the superiors of like was it Star? Is that what it was? It's like Shield, but it's from space. It's like
sure.
Shield.
Oh,
crap.
What you talking about? Sword? Agents of Sword? Yeah.
Like I literally knew what it was, and then had a brain fart, and I'm like, is it Star?
Sure.
But it was great, man. And like I love, like, wasn't Sword was in was it WandaVision, right? Like they were excavating.
Yeah. They even set it up at the end of Shield, Agents of Shield. They kind of set up a potential Sword as well. And I assume we're going to dive into that in the Secret Invasion show with Nick Fury, with kind of the stuff we saw at the end of No Way Home with Nick Fury in space. Let's
go.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited for Secret Invasion. I think, I just don't think people know like the scope. I think of the show is really going to be. It gives me very like Winter Soldier vibes. I think we're going to get a lot of those characters. Like it's not all about cameos, but I do think we're going to get cameos, right? Like we got War Machine already in there. I wonder if we're going to get some of those Agents of Shield reps. Did you watch Shield at all when it was on?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm gonna definitely have to go back and delve into it. But Shield, Agents of Shield is like one of those weird projects where it shouldn't necessarily be considered MCU canon because of certain things they did within the premise of the show. But then they're like calling back to it, and at the end of the day, that's Agent Coulson. There's no way that's not like that. You know what I mean? But like.
Yeah, there's definitely some timeline stuff there with Infinity War and Endgame. But did you finish it? Because I know the end of Shield, and this is still like an ongoing like debate on the internet. Is it canon? It's not. Same with Daredevil, all that fun stuff. But like we do end Shield with them like returning to a timeline. Now we don't know if it's the original timeline, but they do return to some kind of timeline. So my theory is that that's our timeline, and that's what I hope.
Were you about to say headcanon, not theory?
Yeah, I was trying to think like what's that word? But no, I'll be curious because like we are now in this era of these TV characters finally being included. We have Daredevil, we have Kingpin, we have freaking Inhumans. Like who watched the Inhumans show? Like 5 people, but we got Inhumans coming back in Multiverse of Madness. Like we are bringing those characters back, and I think it is just a matter of time before we do get your Chloe Bennett as Quake, and your Phil Coulson, and your Ghost Rider. Like we need Ghost Rider content in the MCU. It's kind of ridiculous by this point.
We're so starved for Ghost Rider content. And did you say Humans?
What's that?
Did you say Inhumans?
Yeah, in Multiverse of Madness we got
Oh right, yeah.
Black Bolt for the same actor and everything.
I thought you meant Eternals, and I'm like, those are like completely different. Like,
oh yeah, no.
I'm like,
I didn't like Eternals too much. I wish I liked it more. I didn't love it.
So like the Eternals, like they did good in as far as introducing a key premise in the movies that was very prevalent in the comics. Is if the Eternals show up, it's kind of like everyone's not screwed, but like something serious going on, right? Like that was the big thing with the Eternals. Is it like if they show up, something big's about to happen. That's been like prevalent in all of most, not all, but most of their like their comic book appearances. Like there was this storyline. I think it took place right after Civil War II in the comics. And by the way, the MCU films did a way better job with Civil War than like the comics did. It was a lot cleaner, a lot more organized towards their. You can see they had a vision when they were creating, like obviously War and even before that, a lot cleaner. But the storyline in the comics, there was this huge crossover, and there was this character who could see like they didn't know it at the beginning of the big story, but it was he could see all of the the most possible future that occurred in the present moment.
Yeah.
And the humans got involved, and it was like he didn't know who he is, and it just turns out that he was like an Inhuman all along. And it was just a really cool storyline because it was Tony versus like Captain Marvel, like Carol Danvers. And Carol's like, we're gonna use him even if he's not 100% reliable. And Tony's like, what about the fallacy that like I just put the facts in front of your face and you still want to use him as an absolute, and he's just not. And then Tony ends up being put in like a stasis pod made of like metal because he ended up being in a coma. And it was a really good storyline. And if we have any viewers, and if you haven't even read it or followed it, you should go check it out because that's one of my favorite storyline.
Yeah, I mean for sure. I am. I really want to dive into the world of comics more. I do a little bit, but not nearly enough. The thing, there's so much coming out.
It's just so hard. I would say this. There is no, especially within the past 3 years, surprisingly, like COVID, post-COVID, and pre-COVID, right? We have no, like there's so much good Batman content in comics. Like we cannot be starved. Like there's so much good Batman content right in the past.
Oh, absolutely. Batman is their golden boy, and he always will be.
Of course.
It's so funny to me because I don't know how much you're following this James Gunn stuff. Like we are having an entire new universe getting built around James Gunn.
Yeah.
And then we just have another universe on the side where it's just Batman. Like no Superman on that side, no Wonder Woman. It's just gonna be Batman sequels and Batman spin-offs, and honestly, I kind of like that because hopefully you give the fans that, and then over on James Gunn's side we can kind of chill and focus on maybe some other people as well. Because it's always Batman. That's what they want. Like they want, and the thing is with Batman compared to like Superman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern, Batman's cheaper. Like it's much cheaper to tell those stories. You can have your smaller budget, and then you can also get like big bucks in the box office as well.
Of course.
Sure.
One of the problems with Batman v Superman, and I know a bunch of people are like going back and being like, "Oh, it was awesome." And I'm like,
sure.
I remember what you said. Fine. Don't you be like, the same thing with like the Amazing Spider-Man films. I was like, I was there when you were defecating on this film. Don't you switch up now?
Amazing Spider-Man's so funny because now everyone is pro Andrew. It's so hilarious. And he even made a comment about it. Like, Andrew, like, in an interview, people were asking, like, hey, come back to Spider-Man again. And it's like, where were you 8 years ago when we needed those box office numbers? When were you when they tried to reboot me? But Andrew is still my favorite Spider-Man. Like, I don't love those films that much. But he is my favorite Spider-Man. I love Andrew as that character.
The very best way you could work with, and that sometimes speaks to your volume as an actor. You know what I mean? And your ability, right?
Sure.
Like it's just wow. Like I was like that's kind of funny that he called out his own fan base.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's so based.
And you can tell the passion when it comes to Andrew, because that man's a nerd. Like that man loves Superman. If he's playing the character or he's not, he's there day one in the theaters. He'll be there reading the comic books. You can tell that passion that he has, and I think that bleeds through because you don't always see that. You don't always see that level of passion coming from a fan.
Marvel just like bought out, like basically started up his own studio because he was tired of like people screwing over a gaming franchise he beloved.
Oh really?
Did you hear about that?
I didn't know.
So like, because he was on The Witcher, right? And they were like, I
heard that. Yeah.
drama about like, you know, he was like, you guys can't do this. Like, this is a
Mm-hmm.
key thing, and you can't do this, right? And like, they're just like, yeah, but we're gonna. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
that big boss, like the BDE like studio energy. You know what I mean? Like they had that going on. They were like, yeah, but you're just an actor. We can replace you,
Sure.
and we're still gonna tell the narrative we want. We're still gonna like we don't need you, bro. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
nice, but
I do wish Henry Cavill the best. I know he has that new dream job that he got for a show or a game he really likes. So I do wish him the best. And you know, I haven't played the Witcher games or watched the show, but it does really feel like that man. Like they should have listened to him. I think if you would have listened to Henry Cavill, you let him lead the horse to water, you'll have you could have had an absolute banger show. I think.
I didn't fall. I played like I'm not gonna lie. The Witcher games should be a perfect game for me. Like there's no reason I shouldn't love them.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't for me. It's just something about, and I'm not gonna crap on the games because they are really good, and I know numerous friends of mine are like they're awesome, right? But it's just I couldn't get into them, you know. And it was just like, and I love everything that like it checks every box, and I just couldn't get into the game. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And combat. Close combat, like magic. The lore of the game is just so phenomenal. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, fair. I mean, I know Liam Hemsworth is taking over that role, and I wish him the best of luck because I think he's going to get so much hate for taking over Henry Cavill. I mean, that's the same with Superman though too. Like, I feel so bad for the guy that has to take over as the next Superman because they are going to get bullied for the next at least 5 years.
What's the Arrowverse / not connected Arrowverse Superman Lois actor? What's his name?
That's Tyler Hoechlin.
He did I don't think he received a lot of hate. Now, obviously, he wasn't like it was an alternate universe, right? Like he's not taking over the big screen, but I wouldn't mind if I had to like create my own DC universe. He's in the conversation. You know?
Interesting.
He's in the conversation.
He's definitely got a lot of hate, especially from like the deep Snyder fans.
Oh, really?
In this era where he was able to play Superman and like Henry Cavill wasn't. So there's definitely been a hate. There's been a lot of fat shaming with him not being as buff, which is dumb because he's a very buff guy. He is.
Yeah, it's just like Superman is like shouldn't be as bulk as he is. I think Bruce Wayne Batman should look more fit than like Bruce Wayne Batman like. He should be buff, but like in most depictions, it's the opposite way around. Like Superman has more bulk to him, and Batman's more like of a leaner, like build, right? Like, and I never understood that. I think Batman should be like super buff, like bodybuilder, kind of broad-shouldered, muscular, and then Superman should be like a little leaner than that. And then Nightwing should be like a little leaner than Superman, if that's any like indication, right?
Sure.
So like the early animated, like not the first 2 seasons of Batman the animated series, but like when they introduced Tim Drake's Robin,
mm-hmm.
I think that should be like the ideal. My voice is cracked. That should be like the ideal Batman, and then Superman we got from the New 52 shows, like New 52 movies, like Just League Dark, like that kind of Superman, like the Teen Titans vs Justice League. That should be Superman we should have, and then like Nightwing it's pretty like the same from that same universe. I feel like that those are like the ideal builds for actors. Well, so you also got to think, man, like it's so hard to have not only have the acting ability, the talent, the potential, and then like you also got to adopt the mannerisms of whatever character you're portraying, and then it's also like hard to like replicate the an ideal physique for a fictional character. You know what I mean? That's why like anime, like live action anime movies like bomb most of the time. Not just because of poor writing, but just because like anime is just so out of separate from reality that it's like, come on, like you're gonna have a Goku. Like no, find someone that looks like Goku. Dare you? That portray the character.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a transitioning thing that happens where like, how do you transition these out like comic books, let's be honest, they're silly. They are very silly
Yeah.
sometimes, right? There's this constant battle of like, how silly do we keep it, and like
Yeah.
how far do we astray from the comics before it's no longer the comics?
I brought this up actually, the concept of like comic books being silly and them being adapted into film, because there are certain like teams and characters that they just don't belong in an environment, like consistent environment, like where they have to be like Shazam and Batman would be a cool team up, right? Like
Sure.
like for one film. But there's no reason that like Shazam and Batman should be in like the BVS Gotham City for a very long time. It just as a long like standing like partnership, it just doesn't work. Like I don't think that works. You know what I mean? There you
Sure.
yeah, interesting. It switches up the dynamic and it you know, it introduces new banter and forges new relationships and with these characters. But it's just hard, man. It's hard to like, because they did the same thing with Superman. Like first of all, they should have done a Batman movie before BVS, but they just like made Superman like Batman basically for real. Like even in Man of Steel, they just made him serious, gritty, not really. He compromised on a lot of his morals, I think, within the like not Snyderverse, but
yeah, DC.
The Snyderverse.
Yeah,
Snyder.
I think on the topic of like BVS, I think there's a lot of things that should have happened before BVS. BVS is not a story you tell on your second outing. That's a phase, not to use Marvel's terming, but that's a phase 3, a phase 4 type story. I will never understand the decision, and I'm not trying to hate on the movie because I know there's a lot of people on here that really love that movie. Like, there's a lot of people who really like Man of Steel and all that fun stuff
about the movie, but you're correct. Like at the end of the day, I think even your supporters and the people on here will like even compromise and admit that you have a valid point. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say I think it's not even just the BV, like they can fight whatever. I think it's the death scene that irks me. Like I don't understand the decision to kill Superman off in your second movie. Doesn't make sense to me.
It's like, bro, and it's like the foreshadowing with the thing, like the dust moving, bro. It was just like, like, it wasn't impactful. There was no reason he should have died. First of all, that early, like, I don't know. It's just their animated projects are so perfect. It's not even fair. Like, not to say perfect, but like, nothing's perfect, right? But it's just like they're so good that it's like. I've literally had people who like Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin, and the fandom universally, as far as like Robin and that family goes, everyone hates this character.
Sure.
Like they hate this character, and I'm like, he's just my favorite. Like I've always loved him. He's always had like the most aesthetically pleasing like Robin outfit. Like he always has fire merch. Like. He came in and just yoked up Tim in his first appearance. Like, he was beating the tar to Tim. Now, granted, Tim started to turn up on him, and Batman intervened. And, like, he just, I feel like if you were to compare backstories and take away the names and faces, Robin has the most, like, John Wick, like, the most badass origin story. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, Damian Wayne just has the best origin story. You know what I mean? And, like, I had someone explain it to me in a way that made sense, because I basically told him, like, hey, you hate Damian Wayne for now. Go watch, because this was Judas Contract just came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, go watch all these films, and then come back, and if you still hate the character, then
sure.
Then I understand, right? And then they're like, dude, I don't hate him anymore. I don't love him, like you do, but like I don't hate him anymore.
Sure. There is a weird thing. I've been talking about this for several months now. I think the lack of Robin in just DC content in general is so weird, because Robin as just like an entity is so cool, and there's so many of them. Like we could do so many of these stories, and I like James Gunn 100% thing. Like very high on my list. I want Robins. Like I want Dick Grayson. I want Damian Wayne. I think you should start there. Talked about this in a stream a couple weeks back. I think you were in it, where I said like your first Batman outing I think should be about Robin.
I can understand. I understand where you're thinking with that. You know what I mean? I disagree personally because Batman. Obviously, there's already so many Batman live action movies. You don't really need to do a Batman like origin story, but
Sure.
Batman needs to be established as this guy who will cross every line but one to do what he needs to do. Right? To get the job done. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
Young Justice really explored this when we had Robin's. It was Black Canary, right? They had she like became the therapist. It was more prevalent in like I think Outsiders, right? But they really explored this. He's like, I loved being I adored him. I looked up to him. I still love that man. I still got number love for him, but that thing that drives him, that like makes him that he sacrificed everything for the mission, like that really hit home to me because that's the core of Batman is. No one really wants to be Batman.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's kind of like, yeah, you want to be Batman, right? Because he's cool and you want to have all the skill sets and resources he has. But like, he's just this like lonely, pathetic old man that like, yeah, he's badass. Pathetic old man that like never really got over his trauma. Nightwing confronted his trauma. That's why he's Nightwing and not Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm sorry, and I'll bring this back around to canceled shows. I couldn't do Titans. I'm sorry.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Before, I actually would like to talk about Titans just real quick, but before I do that, I got a couple people in the chat. What up, LBM man? It's great to see you. Flash Freak in the house. Miata in the house. Great to see everyone today. I saw Eric's stream just ended, so that's probably where everyone's coming from. Yeah, very bad scheduling on my part. That our streams kind of collided. But LBM says the DCU slate will be announced on January 31st at 11:59. So Noah, I don't know if you saw. So James Gunn said his first couple slates of his movie slates were going to be announced this month.
I was not. I think I saw it pop on my Google feed or my Facebook feed. No, I didn't click on it.
That's fair, and it's been very. It's been a funny discussion on Twitter and stuff. Like, when is it dropping? We got like 3 days left. So I would not be shocked if they wait till January 31st to officially announce that news. I'm very excited though. Like, you weren't on for my like. You got like projects that you want like James Gunn to announce for his like new slate.
I'd love him to do a Titans, like a Teen Titans. Not like. Not with like obviously there's certain stalemate like people of the franchise need to say like Robin, Starfire, Raven, but I want to see some Blue Beetle or Kid Flash in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like to see some because those were the OG like Titans. That's what I loved about one of the few things I liked about like the Titans on HBO. Right? Was they had the OG cast from like the '90s comics, like the people that not the Titans we know personally grew up with. But I'd like to see some newer faces that were still a part of that team at one point.
Yeah, sure.
And the reason I'm excited I want James Gunn to do this is because I want it to have a Guardians vibe to it, not like Titans. Titans was really like My Chemical Romance teenage angst. Like,
I will say,
Titans could work like that, you know what I mean? But and it can work in a darker, more grittier environment like that. But it just tries too hard to be edgy. It's not like it's you know what I mean?
Sure. I think if there's anyone that I think James Gunn would do a beautiful Teen Titans. That I think those characters fit perfectly in his palm.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad. I feel like that like almost outcast and misfit family dynamic fit perfectly for him. Absolutely gorgeous.
Shazam too. Like, obviously I know there's the whole drama with like is Shazam done? You know what I mean? But we just got the new news, right?
Yeah, there's been it's a wild ride of who's staying, who's going. It seems like it's not a complete reboot, right? It seems like he's I would say if there's anyone certain for now, it would seem like his Suicide Squad Peacemaker family seems to be safe, right? His Harley Quinns, his Peacemaker, his not Deadshot, but I forget his name.
Blood.
Bloodsport. That's it. I would say they're safe. And Jason Momoa made a tweet or video last week saying he's like, "Hey, I'm always Aquaman." So there's been a lot of up in the air of like, okay, maybe he is staying as Aquaman, because I don't know if you've seen any of the Lobo rumors where he really wants to be Lobo. He really wants to adapt the character, and he would make a perfect Lobo. He looks just like Lobo. It's kind of ridiculous.
Being a good Lobo. Can we acknowledge that we would bully, like we would sit around the lunch table and bully, like Aquaman basically, and then like
I did not bully Aquaman. I think. Maybe I did. I don't know. I didn't know enough about Aquaman to even have a right to bully Aquaman.
Really? Like that, I know, before like that banger of a movie came out, right? Like,
sure.
Like not, he was kind of a joke for real in a lot of the anime projects. And it's sad because he's a really useful character. And like, now that we've seen how he can be written, it's like, whoa. That was like, I don't know a lot of Aquaman fans, like.
Sure.
Before that movie came out.
Yeah, I think Jason Momoa could be on the precipice of like, because I feel like, I don't know, I guess it depends if we do recast, but like he could definitely be your Robert Downey Jr. of Iron Man's, where he just kind of defines that character, and it's very different from the comics. It's very, and I think they've spiced that character up a bit that he kind of needed. So would you be okay if he played both? Like if at the same time he was both Aquaman and Lobo?
It's happened before, you know, in franchises. Like, I would not be against that. You know what I mean?
But like at the same time, so like in the same universe, they are both.
Awesome. That'd be awesome. Like, I would love it if in the MCU, Keanu Reeves played both Wolverine and Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, yeah.
Be awesome. Like,
okay, fair enough.
Like, I'm pro that, but I understand that, like, as an actor, maybe they don't want to both take on like the responsibility of the characters and commit to the like contractual obligations of playing two characters existing within the same movie franchise, right?
Yeah. I'd be curious to see if Lobo is a one-off too. Like, is he just Superman and then kind of like you kill him or whatever at the end? I'd be interested. I would not be shocked if that Superman movie has Lobo as a villain. I would not be shocked at all.
I could see that.
Lobo, I love Lobo. I think he's such a fun villain.
I'm sorry, I gotta run this back to Superman Lois because I love this. Like I'm very not anti-Superman, but he's just white bread, dude. He's so it's been the same thing over and over again, blah blah blah. And it was just, this show is so refreshing. Like, this is such, I love this new take of they take what we love about Superman, right? Sure. And then they reblend it in a way that like provides something new and interesting, all with an overarching plot and their own mini like stories, right? That we get to explore these other characters that maybe we didn't really know. Like, we know they're part of Superman lore, but we really didn't explore. You know what I mean? It's
like, for sure.
It was so cool.
What I love about Superman Lois is, again, like, Spider-Man did this and I loved it there. Batman also kind of did this in the Robert Pattinson version. This isn't an origin of Batman, or an origin of Superman. This is an old Superman. He's been doing this for 20 years. He has kids. He's married. He's fired from the Daily Planet. This is all new. And they had come out and said, like, they don't want to do, like, the transitional. Like, they don't want to just do Lex Luthor. They don't want to just do, which, I don't know if you saw, Lex Luthor was just casted in Superman Lois for next season. A new one.
Awesome! Let's go!
So season 3, we will have Lex. But, like, they're doing these tiny villains. Season 1 was, oh gosh, I'm having so many brain farts today. Morgan Edge. And I wasn't a fan of Allie last season. I know you're not caught up, so I'm not going to spoil it. But I'm very excited to see what we're doing next season. We're doing Bruno Mannheim, it seems like, and a bit of Lex Luthor. So I'm excited. I'm for sure excited.
I admire and respect about you is like, you're so you won't spoil. Like, you know what I mean? You just won't do that. You love, like, you have enough respect and admiration for just the show and the person, the viewer, that you're like, I want you to experience this the same way I did. You know what I mean? And,
there's a lot of people who have turned on Superman and Lois because of what they did at the end, but I still really enjoy that show. I think it's an absolute banger of a show, despite some of the things they did.
Oh,
What's
I'm
that?
so confused. So it's not a part of the Arrowverse.
No, what they did. Okay, so there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's happened recently. Shows ending,
Uh-huh.
and kind of at the end, the only there were Flash, Superman, Lois, Legends, Batwoman, and then Legends and Batwoman both ended up getting canceled. So what they did is they kind of towards the end they were like, oh, there's no other heroes on this Earth now. And they kind of made a press afterwards, like, yeah, this is just on a different Earth. This was never a part of the Arrowverse, even though it was supposed to be, right? It was like clearly supposed to be. Deagle showed up. They promoted it.
There, right? And I know it could potentially and could not potentially be the Diggle who found the ring at the end of Arrow, right? The Green Lantern ring.
Yeah.
But at the time.
Yeah, no, that they're playing it off as he's like a doppelganger.
Time it can't be the Arrowverse because Barry, air quotes, because you can't see my fingers, air quotes, made it not possible after Crisis to have a multiverse. So in the Arrowverse, there's not a verse anymore, right? Like,
well, there's still a multiverse. They just don't know about it, right? Like, you still got all of these different universes out there. Our main timeline they don't know, they can't access it, you know?
Wait, so there is a multiverse still?
There is a multiverse, yeah. So, like, at the end of Titans, we see, like, Stargirl's Earth, we see Titans' Earth, we see the DCU, we see Green Lantern's Earth. Like, it's still out there. They just kind of don't know about it, which I think we're going to tap into the final season of Flash. It seems like, not to spoil anything, but it seems like the Red Death we're getting this season will be from, a multiverse, it seems like. So, let's see.
I was just confused by that because I thought the whole point of Crisis was to merge all of the multiverse, because that just makes Harry's death meaningless. I don't like that.
Yeah, I think it was really unfortunate, the term of events that happened after Crisis, because it was supposed to merge all of these shows together. It was supposed to put Supergirl and Black Lightning on the main timeline.
And here's the thing: you can do that event, and then still have other projects that have their own DC universe, that have their own multiverse. You can still do that. So that way, and if they did it that way, then that would have just been cleaner for our Arrowverse shows ending. Because then, like, as far as continuity wise, because then we'd have Doom Patrol and Titans, and they can exist in their own like multiverse within the projects that they are. You know what I mean? Like, not to like seclude everything, but that would just been cleaner if they were already kind of like, all right, well, we're getting rid of Legends officially, no comeback. Flash is we're killing off our titular character that started the whole Arrowverse. Like, it's just like, it would have been cleaner if they did it that way, but I guess complicated is complicated, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like I like the Arrowverse kind of being a part of this larger universe, right? Like, I like it being connected to like the DCEU and Doom Patrol and Titans, and all that kind of jazz. And I think that opens the possibility, like we just had Spider-Man No Way Home, right? And we were able to bring back Andrew and Toby. I would love that in 10 years we do, I'm not going to say another Crisis, but like, there's so many crises you can pull from. We can bring back your Stephen Amell as Oliver Queen. We can bring back your Grant Gustin and all that fun stuff. I think these shows are going to age like wine. I think, they get a lot of hate now, but like, when you put like the nostalgia on them, I think 10 years from now they're gonna look great.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I just started watching Flash again.
Rewatching it, or
on season 5, I think.
Okay.
I'm just watching because Nora and Bart are like awesome, bro. Like, that synergy they have, like that.
Sure.
That's the only reason I'm watching, bro. Like, the enemies kind of are really lame. Like, they're not I don't know, they just kind of suck compared, like the Godspeed, like Endless War, is that what they called it? Was it like Endless War?
Yeah, Godspeed wasn't great.
It was kind of like they could have, like, you remember back when like Savitar was the big bad, and I was talking to you like, bro, I can't wait for Bart Allen and Godspeed and them to fold these characters. I don't know if you remember me telling you this.
Yeah.
But like, talking to him about Bart Allen, because he was like a big deal. He just came on Young Justice, and I was telling you about Godspeed and how he's like August Hart, so it's awesome, and
sure,
like he just You know what I mean? And I was like, now that they're both in the same season, I'm like, they actually could have, like, they could have made this a lot better. I don't know. Was season 5 like post COVID?
It was pre-COVID.
Okay, all right. So I can't even excuse like that crap.
Yeah, I don't like season 5. So okay, so you're only on season 5, so you don't see the Godspeed stuff that comes next.
No,
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that was the one-off episode. I'll say he comes back. I'm not gonna say if he's better or worse, but we at least get to see a little bit more of that character at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm trying to remember what happened. So we already met August Hart in the present, who like doesn't remember who he is. Barry had an argument with one of them in the cell, and he just beat up Barry and did the dash. Like he just left. Like that was the last I remember watching.
okay.
So if that tells you anything. I don't really know.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Godspeed was a character again people wanted since like season 4. Like ever since we got the Speed Force storm, it's been nonstop, kind of like, when's he coming? When's he coming?
I don't know. If they wanted to do like an endless war kind of deal, they could have just done it so much better. Like I don't know, man.
Sure. Godspeed, it's very frustrating because his actual arc was only like 3-4 episodes. And you can't, I mean, you could have if they did it right, but they didn't. They didn't give Godspeed enough time to be fleshed out. So
Who's
yeah.
your Flash villain?
My favorite Flash villain?
Mm-hmm. You don't say you apart.
I mean, he can't be Thawne. Okay, if I can't pick Thawne,
okay.
If we're talking about big bads or just like in general.
Well, you can be in general too. That's all right. I don't care.
I think. Oops. I mean, Snart's always like up there, right? Like when Snart was villain, so good.
Yeah. It was so good, bro. Like Barry was like, "Come on, you don't like owing me a favor. I can tell."
Oh yeah, he's so good. If we're talking main villains, I'd probably just go down to Zoom because Zoom is also just so good.
Zoom was good. I feel like they could have, like, as far as like the big bads for each season, they probably could have switched it up to be a little more predictable. If that makes sense, less predictable. Because we had Thawne, then Zoom back to back, and then
Savitar, yeah.
And then Savitar, and I was like, if they had Thawne, and then it would have made more sense, I think, flashback wise, for them to do Thinker in season 2, and then maybe we got like Savitar in season 4, right?
Sure. I always said I wouldn't even touch season 1 and 2 because I think they're so perfect. Like I wouldn't.
So perfect.
I wouldn't touch Zoom because I think season 1 and 2, which works, and then season 3. Here's what I would have done for season 3. I would have split up the season between 2 villains. I would have said the first half of season 3 are the rogues, and then in the back half, it's like revealed that like the Thinker is like kind of controlling their actions through the entire season. So it's like a split of the 2 because like you'll be wondering like why are these guys working together? That doesn't make much sense. But you see it kind of through the lens of like, oh, this master plan he's doing, and then I don't know who I would have done for season 4. Maybe Godspeed.
What do you think about, this is your personal opinion, because so like Ezra Miller's going through all these like obviously exact accusations and stuff, right? And I know obviously Grant Gustin like worked with him very, very briefly, but how do you think like it was? I don't know, man. Like how do I phrase this question? Do you think Grant like enjoyed working with him, knowing what he knows now? Because he really like his co-star that played Ralph. Well, I don't even remember that guy's name, but
Hartley Sawyer, yeah.
He threw him under the bus, rightfully so. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think Grant thinks of him? Obviously, he's
I mean, I bet I don't know. I mean, I don't think they probably worked together long.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that he loves what's going on with the Flash movie currently. And I would be very curious because of course there's all the speculation is like if Grant makes a cameo in the Flash movie. I almost wonder if maybe he originally did and maybe afterwards he's like, hey yo, can you cut me out or something?
Yeah, like I'm with this guy, no more. I don't know.
I feel
it's just he's one of those few people in not necessarily Hollywood, but just like Hollywood, where he's really genuine. Like you can tell he's very genuine in
Sure.
his approach, and sincere to his approach to things.
Yeah. I feel really bad for Michael Keaton because not only is this the Flash stuff is just terrible situation, but also his Batgirl movie got canceled. And I don't know, like he's not my favorite Batman in the world, right? But like he deserved what he got at least. Like I wish we could have seen that Batgirl movie.
I don't know. I'm always suspicious of films like that where it's like, all right, we haven't had a Batman movie, and I understand the whole point of a Batgirl movie. It's Batman doesn't need to be in it, but because it's not his movie, right? But it's like Batgirl. The whole point of Batgirl, especially Barbara Gordon, which we didn't really get much about the movie, right? Because like it just got canceled. There was no like, was there any promotional ads? Were there any like trailers or anything for it?
We didn't get an official trailer, no. Just like set photos and leaks and stuff like that.
But the whole point of Barbara was because she kind of like got beat up a lot before Bruce kind of took her in. And a lot of Batman media, like she's not like that like good. Like you see that in Batman animated series and The Batman, which I think debuted in like 7 or something. The Batman, by the way, it was on Vortex TV. I watched it every time it was on. It was a great show. Very underrated Batman media. Like she got beat up, and then Batman was like, "You're Barbara Gordon." She's like, "That's not fair." Like, but she got beat up by Poison Ivy, and Bruce was like, "Hey, I got you," But like that's the whole point of like Batgirl was like she didn't really. She had a development, obviously. Like she was like she had to learn the skills to become a crime fighter, and that's why I'm always suspicious of like she's so tied to Batman. That's like, yeah, once you learn. Or what they could have done is they could have, because it's Michael Keaton, he could be an older Batman retired, right? And this point where she's not like Batman Beyond Barbara Gordon, where she's like old and raggedy and wrinkly and like commissioner, but like she's in her prime as Batgirl, like you know what I mean? Maybe the Killing Joke stuff never happened, right? Like that, because that's always like a big point of contention.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what they were going for because, of course, like it seems like this movie was going to be the consequences of Flashpoint, right? It seems like originally Michael Keaton was going to be the main Batman in this universe. So there was a lot of like conversation as if like, will she be the main Bats in this timeline? Like, will Michael Keaton's Batman be retired and she kind of takes over? I don't know. It's a movie that I think we're always going to question about. Yeah. What is it about? We know the villain. We know the villain was Firefly, played by
That would have been really nice.
Oh my! I cannot think of actors today. My goodness. Brandon Fraser. My goodness.
Oh, that's interesting. Hey, actually, now that I think about it, he'd be a really good Firefly.
Oh yeah, I think he would have been good. And again, he's getting the really short end of the stick because Batgirl was canceled, and now officially as of this week, which I think I do want to talk about shortly, is Doom Patrol was canceled as well this week. Did you watch Doom Patrol at all?
No, I have not. It's also not one of the like their comics. There's not something that really grabbed my interest either.
Sure.
But I've heard nothing but good things about the show. I really want to get into it. I've heard nothing but good things. I've heard it the atmosphere. I've heard it compared to like season 1 of Arrows, first 2 seasons of Arrows.
Like, really? I would compare it to Legends, where it's. I think it's better than Legends. But it's very goofy, right? It's very silly, but the Doom Patrol's characters kind of are too. So, I love Doom Patrol. I didn't like Titans, but I liked some things about Titans. Like I love that cast of Titans. So
why
good.
did you like Titans?
I felt like Titans for the most part was like a fashion show, right? You have all these cool characters. You have Starfire. You have Dick Grayson, you have Lex Luthor, you got Raven, you got Superboy. Like you have all of these cool characters, and they didn't really do anything with them. It feels like 4 seasons of kind of just fluff. And of course, like costumes are great, special effects usually are great. And some like I think the show has a villain problem. You like Titans as a show frustrates me so much because you have I think you have everything to make a great show. Again, you have a great cast, you have a great team, a great roster of characters, you have a decent budget, more than the Arrowverse stuff did, and you don't do anything with it. You had season 1 you did Trigon, season 2 you did Deathstroke, season 3 you did Red Hood and Blackfire, and you didn't use and okay, I'm gonna go on a little rant just real quick. Season 3, have you seen season 3 at all or no?
I haven't seen anything outside of like first. They introduced Hawk, and
Okay.
But yeah, they introduced those characters, and I've seen clips of different.
Okay.
Just
Let
go
me tell you this.
Here for you.
Season 3, they had Red Hood and Blackfire, who are two of the, I would say, biggest Titans villains, right? Like, those are characters who are so deeply connected to that main team.
What?
You could have two separate villains. They were both in the season, and neither of them were the official big bad. Guess who the big bad was?
Titans villain.
Well, he's not a Titans villain, but I think he has a close connection to Titans. Like, he has a deep connection to Dick Grayson. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna let you pop off. I'm sorry, I just had to point that out.
Guess who they chose to be the actual big bad? You won't guess it. You had Red Hood and Blackfire. Guess who they actually chose?
Hold on, let me think about this for a second. Is it anyone in established Titan lore? Or is it someone new?
I'll say this, he's a Batman villain. It's a Batman villain.
Scarecrow, isn't it?
It's Scarecrow. They chose Scarecrow.
That's so stupid.
Blackfire and Red Hood, who could just do their own solo seasons by themselves. It was Red Hood and Scarecrow, but at the end of the day, it was ultimately like Red Hood joined the Titans by the end of the season, so he wasn't technically the main villain. It was dumb. I season 3 is still my favorite season, weirdly enough. But yeah, I like Titans sometimes. What's that?
I said now it looks like, because someone commented and tagged you. Now it looks like I didn't come up with that. I don't know. It looks like I just cheated.
Let's see. Miata says I like Titans and I like Doom Patrol. I think Doom Patrol is a lot better than. I agree. Doom Patrol is better than Legends. I enjoy Legends, but I think Doom Patrol is a little bit better.
Darren, how dare you desecrate your favorite show?
My favorite show? I never said it was my favorite. Well, I did praise it a lot in the early years.
What is your What is your favorite show? I'm curious because I guess I always made that false assumption, right?
Of all time?
I guess, sure.
My favorite of all time is Ben 10. Second, go ahead.
Let you get through Titans, and then we're gonna bring this back to the roots of our friendship.
The villains were awful in my opinion. Blah blah blah. I learned a lot. Yeah, I think Titans did some cool things. I just think it's the execution that's not great. Like the phrase.
Good cast, like especially for like even the characters themselves. Like Alan Richardson was he was in Reacher. Alan Rickson, Rich.
Yeah,
is it Rickson?
I don't know. I know who you're talking about.
That guy's really good, bro. And then
he's so
the
good.
only one I agree with is the Red Hood because he would be a way better Damian Wayne. But even then, it works. It works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Starfire. You know, I know some people are like, well, she can't be black. I mean, well, she's an alien, bro. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you can be. Yeah, it's fine.
I know that was a big point of like season 1. Like, I was like, it's fine. It doesn't matter, bro. Come on. What are you doing? I didn't like a hooker. That was weird to me.
Well, I think I like it. I think there was an evolution to her character, right? Like, I liked that she didn't just get her suit day one. They kind of let her own it. And she kind of had to she was trying to blend in with society. So I didn't hate that.
Raven was also pretty perfect, man. Like Raven, like the casting,
great.
Acting, her I also liked how Raven didn't know everything about Trigon. Like most of the time when Trigon is introduced in Titan media, she already has dealt with her father. She already kind of showed him up and put him in his place, and then it's him trying to come back. Or it's like, you know what I mean? She already has a pre-established awareness, history, backstory with.
Yeah.
She didn't know anything. She also, another thing about Raven is every time she's been introduced, she pretty much has mastered her abilities. for the most part, the basic ones. Which I like that we got I'd see Raven grow as a character, as a hero, as into the Raven we know she's gonna be. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that Raven actress. I wish she got to do more. She didn't really appear. She was in 2 episodes of season 3, so that was very disappointing. But they've been kind of pulling her in more in season 4. But I love this Dick. I think that this adaptation of Dick is perfect. He's, to me, and I know we haven't had that many live action Dick Grayson, but I think he's a perfect casting for Dick.
I agree. I don't think it's a good adaptation of Dick Grayson.
No. I mean the casting.
Almost perfect. All right, which I was just saying that because I knew I didn't know if that's what you meant.
Sure, no, I don't think this is the I didn't like. I liked it in theory.
Other than him, in media, who would you cast other than?
Oh, I don't know. I'm terrible at castings.
I might do for a young, not because he was an adult in
sure.
20, 25 max in the beginning of the show. Also, because you need to be 22 to be a part of a police academy.
Yeah.
So the show greatly follows realism in the first season. I would do Robbie Keane or Tanner Buchanan from Cobra Kai. Would be a good
Ooh, okay.
Would be a good. I feel like he would be a good Dick Grayson.
Maybe.
For an actual more comic accurate Teen Titans kind of deal.
Interesting. I don't hate that casting.
I would actually now I think about it, I would pull certain characters from Cobra Kai. Actually, I would do because we already know I don't even know how to say his name. Miguel is going to be in Blue Beetle.
Yeah. Perfect casting. Perfect.
Which is really good. So I would already pull him for Blue Beetle, or maybe put him in as Kid Flash. I think that would also be good. You know what I mean? There are certain people I would pull straight from pull from Cobra Kai. I don't know. I'm pretty obsessed with Cobra Kai currently.
It's a great show.
Coughing at the mouth for.
Are you sad it's going to be the final season?
It's not going to be the final season.
It is. They announced it.
It's going to be the final season of Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
But they just brought on 2 new characters that need to be developed. Wink, wink.
Yeah, it's the final. It's season 6 is the last one.
Yeah. No.
But there's been talks of spin-offs. I don't know if they're still happening or not.
That's what I'm saying. Wink, wink. Spin-offs. They brought in 2 brand new characters we know next to nothing about.
Maybe.
A season out from its cancellation. So I could see at maybe 1 spin-off that would maybe be a limited series at the very least. I trust the creators because they're legitimate fans. So they're gonna there's not gonna be spin-offs, then they're gonna give us an ending the characters
sure.
be maybe not want, but because it's gonna be an end regardless. But it's still gonna be a very pleasing ending.
I'm very concerned about that movie that was announced. A new Cobra Kai movie. I don't care. I really hope it's honestly just a reboot because I don't care. Just don't mess with the Cobra Kai canon. That's all I care about.
Don't mess with the Miyagi-verse.
Yeah, I have not seen a better franchise do a legacy sequel. Mm-hmm. They brought back everybody. There's the
live.
The only one they haven't brought back is the next Karate Kid. And I don't know if anyone's screaming to get that character back.
I mean, I enjoyed that movie, believe it or not.
I do too.
I don't enjoy one of my other favorite fighting more realistic, grounded fighting movies is called Never Back Down. I love that franchise. Mm-hmm. They made a movie called it was the newest one. It came out in 2020. It was called Revolt. And the premise was, you know how people kidnap girls and put them in sex rings? Sorry if that's mature for the audience.
Yeah, let's use different words, but sure.
But it's that premise, but instead they girls are forced to fight for the wealthy instead of that, right?
Okay.
So they have them locked up in very dehumanizing rooms and they beat each other up for real. And there are guards that keep them there and the wealthy can watch them it's that. and like it's brutal, man, because it's like MMA. Like it's very realistic. It's brutal. Like they brought in an MMA fighter who's a really good person. Like he's a very wholesome individual, and like he had to play like this like douchey, like very mean, abusive guy, and like he straight up like just beat the tar out of this chick in the movie, right? And it looked bad, dude. I was like, wow, it was just something I don't like to see that. You know what I mean? It's just not like a good premise for a movie. I don't know.
Sure.
But like it was very satisfying when they did break out and like they ended up. Yeah, I agree with you, Maya. I agree.
Miata. I'll be very sad to see Karate Kid ended. To be honest, I love it. Yeah, I love all the movies. I even enjoy the reboot.
But the next Karate Kid did they did a really good job of like showing her growth, and like yeah, she got bullied in the beginning, but like it did a really good job showing her growth without like that like rough or like I don't know. I just don't like seeing girls getting beat up. You know what I mean? Like that's just a weird. And I don't know. It's just weird for me. But I don't think I'm alone in that. But
I doubt you are. But yeah, Miata. There was a really. What's been over for about the season's been over about 3 months, and like there is this phase where like usually it's renewed before now. The Cobra Kai's show, they're usually very fast and like renewing. So I was almost afraid they're going to cancel Cobra Kai. I'm very glad they didn't, though. I'm very glad to see
that. That was a really big news because you're right. Like that was a newsworthy thing, and within like the fandom, it was like, why haven't they renewed it yet? And everyone was like, about anxiety attacks, like.
Although I don't think season 5 would have been the worst canceled show. Like the way it kind of ended and like defeating Silver, it could have worked as like an ending. I think. Mm-hmm. You kind of took down Cobra Kai. Like
there's no curious enter that international karate tournament now. There's no stakes really. So I'm gonna be curious as to how they introduce some risks, right?
I assume Cobra Kai will still somehow go, right? Like, I assume they'll somehow, like, I forget that lady's name from last season, but, like, we introduced a new sensei. I assume she's gonna, like, take up the ranks and pull back Cobra Kai, I guess.
Right. Cobra Kai surely never does die.
Yeah. How do you think we'll end Cobra Kai? Like, what's your ideal ending?
I don't know. I've never thought about this. Like I write books, and like I've never really thought about this because each character, not everyone can be happy, right? Like so that's the point of a realistic ending. Not everyone can be happy, right? But what I would like to see is, and not because I hate Daniel LaRusso, but because I really do love all the characters, like all of them. Like I even love Anthony because like he's like we've all been that brother, had a brother like that. You know what I mean? What I would like to see is because for the duality, we began the show with Johnny at a low point, right? And Daniel was at the best point. He was season 1. Danny was like at the best point of his life. That's like most people's ideal life, you know?
Sure.
Like episode 1. I would like to see Danny's life falling apart while Johnny's putting his life back together, and then in the process of that, his life falling apart, his friends and allies that he's gathered throughout the seasons stand by him and help him, help him out. You know what I mean? Because there have been a lot. Daniel LaRusso has done a lot of illegal things in season 5 alone, bro. He broke into a dojo overnight and like beat the crap out of an instructor that was there.
Sure.
So I would like to see, they're all in lockup or something, or at least realistically, they're all interviewed. Maybe Silver, because Terry Silver is a very silver-tongued fox. We've seen that. That's canonical. Maybe he countersues Danny. Maybe the dealership goes broke. He has to shut down the dealership. And then by the end of the last season, like Johnny's like helping them after they've already like beaten Cobra Kai, right? Air quotes. They start helping Danny help him out, and like sure. They have a or something, like. I don't know, bro. I think I'll be everyone's more or less okay. You know what I mean? Not everything's ideal. It's not perfect ending, but it leaves stuff open to imagination. But it's everyone's kind of like drama's gone. Like everyone's kind of like getting along. You know?
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't know. I kind of felt like season 5 we kind of went down that route with Daniel though. Like he was kind of at an all-time low. Like his marriage was almost over. Silver beat him multiple times. It felt like his life was kind of falling apart there too.
Mm-hmm. But it didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It did.
Yeah, but I don't know if you want his life to be in ruins for the end of the show.
Yeah, maybe not like I was kind of maybe a little too passionate about ruining it. But
he must die.
But I feel like that would be a cool like because like what the main thing that drove most of the drama was Danny and Johnny's rivalry, and by extension of that, Miguel and Robbie, right?
Robbie,
and
yeah.
that's done. So once because it's gonna happen now, right? Like Sam and Tori are gonna either come to an agreement, or they're just gonna become friends, right? Like as guys,
I think we're done with the most of the drama between characters, because that was my least favorite part of the show. I think was the constant drama, and I like it for a bit, but I think when you do 4 seasons straight of Tori versus Sam, it got old for me.
I don't want Cobra Kai to fall into the same trap. I love Supernatural. I don't want it to be like. I really did love Supernatural, but I don't want.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Let the guys gather, the actors gather their contract. Let them get more acting chops, more creds, be more movies, grow their career. You know, like I love Miguel Diaz, but I'm sure Xolo doesn't want. I really need to know how to pronounce his name. I'm sure Xolo doesn't want to be playing Miguel for another like 3 years. You know what I mean? Like I would
be curious to see how much Supernatural, because I think those Supernatural brothers, Jensen, Jared, I think they loved that job to the point where Jensen created a whole nother show around the franchise.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think this is the perfect time to stop Cobra Kai, though. I think 6 seasons, it just makes sense. I think we're at that conclusion. I think for me, I almost wonder if you pull the Cobra Kai name full circle, right? Because Cobra Kai as a show, it's been one of those shows where like the title has almost like outgrown the show itself, where it's like the show isn't much about Cobra Kai anymore. It's about Miyagi-Do. It's about like there's like one character we follow through Miyagi-Do, and that's Kenny. Like that's it. Or I'm sorry, Cobra Kai. Like that's really it. That's all we really follow. So I almost wonder if we end the show with like them taking Cobra Kai back. Like I wonder if we like Johnny and Daniel start leading Cobra Kai. Like they buy it out for themselves and they kind of turn Cobra Kai for a thing of good. I'd be curious to see how they end it.
I like that ending. I also look in the comments. I also like Maya's ending. That's pretty cool. I don't necessarily, because one of the things you guys don't know about me is I am an active martial arts combatant, which is why it's really, really hard, or a competitor, not combatant. It's really hard for me to get into like shows where any form of like fighting is involved. And if we're watching any movie or work of fiction ever, violence is used to push the pace of the storyline, right? Like that's the whole point of it. For most of it. That's why a lot of people didn't like WandaVision, which was like fire, by the way. But it's really hard for me to get into like when fight scenes go down, because I'm just like, that would not happen.
Sure.
That would happen. You know what I mean? Or like that would not have it happen. You do this move, and that would not, the desired outcome that happened in the show is not what would actually happen.
Sure.
But I don't know, because I'm a competitor. Like even if people like I've been up against competitors that I end up becoming friends with later, who's like they're just dirty, man. Like they're very like they're great people, but they just do dirty stuff. Like I was in a wrestling a jiu-jitsu tournament. My first jiu-jitsu tournament, this guy headbutted me, and I met him like a year later, and he was like a really cool dude. Like it was on purpose too, because like the ref because it was inside control, whatever. I'm just saying, like, I don't think anyone should be banned for competing in martial arts, because competition grows you, not just your skill set, but you as a person, right? Like I'm sure Kenny in the franchise, like he probably fights dirty, but once he fights Robbie, and then Robbie checks him, and then Robbie teaches him like Daniel did, like he was his intentions were, but like actualized. I feel like Kenny will grow into one of the greatest characters in the franchise.
I'm very excited to see Kenny's character arc.
We've seen something similar happen with Hawk, right? Like Hawk,
and Robbie,
was it Robbie in the first tournament, and then like now he's one of the most redeemed and great characters in the show. You know what I mean? Like his journey was great. You know who else's journey was really great?
Whose?
Ben 10. It spanned a decade.
That is true.
Really
said we're gonna bring it forward.
It was a great journey.
Man.
Segue, front to back. No, great segue.
That was pretty great. I mean, I think we're all kind of waiting to see like what's next with that franchise, you know.
I did a video about a live action film, and I agreed with a lot of the points you were making.
Thank you. That's the big current rumor, and like we get a couple of those rumors every couple of years, right? I would be excited. I'd be so excited. Like I'd be so hyped. You know me. I think I'd rather a show. I think I'd rather because Avatar is doing that live action show right now with Netflix, and I think that's gonna slap. I just think it's gonna be very hard to do a movie in live action.
I think you're right. I think it's easier to not only just like explore characters. It's just better to do it in a show format. It's just because I don't know, man. Because like you said in the movies, you made a lot of valid points about they can only showcase certain aliens on in origin, right? And it's like you're right. You make a very valid point. And plus, if it's in a show format, like because the cartoon was in a show format, if the live action show is in a show format, like the whole point of Ben 10 is you can't really do it in a movie. It'll be a lot like how the Avatar movie would be, right?
Yeah.
The whole first season of just season 1 is them going on various adventures, right? So like, do we want Kevin to be introduced in the movie the same day, same time he gets the Omnitrix?
Yeah.
And then it would just be it would either have to be like 5 movies, which no one really wants. You know what I mean?
Oh, I definitely think you would franchise it out. I think you would have at least a trilogy.
Right, we would want that, but the franchise out would be it would be a long franchise. It would be a 10-movie franchise.
Sure. I would.
Who might be new to the the show, right? The actual TV franchise. It would be hard to garner interest to people who aren't already aware of the existence of the cartoons, right? Like that would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've done Ben 10 movies before, and again, I don't think they're not all amazing, but I think they work because you don't need to expand anything, right? You could just tell a story in your hour and a half runtime and just go home, right? Like you didn't need to introduce everything, you didn't need to set an origin, and I think, again, I said this in that video, like you're either going to not show all 10 or aliens are going to get skimmed out. Like they'll be on screen for like 5 seconds or whatever, and then they'll switch to someone else. So yeah, I mean, again, or it would just have a horrible pacing problem. Just every 5 minutes he's someone new, and I don't know.
That's the whole point of Master Control, right? Like the pacing problem would be like so horrible.
Sure. Because
I would love to see a live action adaptation of like the final battle in Classic, right? At like that resort or whatever against Kevin and Vilgax.
Okay, yeah.
In control, just beat the crap out of both of them.
The season 2 finale, yeah.
Yeah, the Ben 10 Classic finale.
Yeah.
That would be so awesome, dude. Like, and I don't know. That'd be. I don't know. I'm pro it. I'm pro for it. I'm not against it. But you're right. You made a lot of valid points that I wouldn't have even thought about. Like, yeah, we've had projects like this in the past, and the only one that was like decent in my opinion, which I know like most of the live action films and whatnot get a lot of flack. or at least in my experience, they have. I really liked Alien Swarm.
Did you? Yeah, I did not hate it. I don't.
Was like, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't hate any of the movies. I don't think they're amazing either. And again, I do think that they do kind of work better in like the animation format. Like, I don't like the reboot that much, right, for obvious reasons. But I think like the reboot movies are solid, right? Like, they're just kind of like continuations of that story, just in animation, you know. And I don't know, like, how do you feel about doing another reboot? Here, like a different reboot, right? How would you feel about, like, I kind of want Ben 10 to become your Spider-Man, your Ninja Turtles, your Batman, where each generation kind of has their own, right? And I think the last reboot didn't do that right, right? Because I think they geared too young. But I like the idea of doing like another reboot.
I want Ben 10, so it doesn't screw with anything of like Ben Prime, the original, because some people don't consider Omniverse like part of like classic Ultimate Alien Force.
It definitely is.
It is, because it's Ben Prime and it's just a different style. Like, come on, bro, don't be that guy. It is, but I would like to see. So all of the events that happened still happen all the way up from classic to Omniverse, right? But it's just Kevin's perspective or Gwen's perspective.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then really want Ben 10 to be like a global phenomenon taking over the media, like how the MCU kind of is. Put me in charge. You give me a big Ben. I'll do a Kevin spin-off from like classic first. We'll do some Grandpa Max.
Cool.
He was young still. We'll do some like Gwen 10,000 type like
interesting.
Like, we'll do a lot of stuff, bro. We'll explore the Kenny and Spanner adventures, because
Ken 10.
Spanner. The show's been out a while. If you don't know who Kenny was Spanner, that's on you.
Yeah.
But like
just turned 10. The Omniverse just turned 10 like last year.
That's awesome. But still,
But yeah,
we could do adventures with Kenny and Spanner. Like, maybe he's, you know what I mean? Like, we could do a bunch of stuff. With that.
So you would expand the original universe instead, right?
And we could do other stuff too. You know what I mean?
I would absolutely be down for that. I've had that same thought. I know there's been, I don't know if you heard any of those rumors. I don't think they're official, but there's been a lot of talks during Ultimate Alien. I don't know if you noticed, they had plans for a Gwen spinoff show. And then
that would be so cool.
Yeah, stuff happened, dark changes happened, and it never happened. There's a couple other things. Like, I would love a plumber show. I think, like, make it very X-Files, very Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. like, but they kind of just travel the world. I know Secret Saturdays exists in this universe. If you want to like revive Secret Saturdays, maybe. I don't know. There's stuff you could do.
I feel like the whole point of like Ben, because he's so idealistic, right? Like when the whole Dagon arc, like, it was a big deal because Ben was gonna like kill somebody, right? Same thing with when Kevin went evil again, like he was gonna kill somebody. So it's all when Ben's about to compromise on his ideals and his morals, it's a big thing, right? Because like he's so Superman-y in that sense. Like he doesn't do that, right? So like when the stakes are that high, like, and Ben's like considering it, it's a big deal. But like the whole thing with like a Kevin thing is like Kevin was the whole point of his introduction from like day one, and then his reintroduction in Alien Force is the fact that like Kevin's gray.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, and then he obviously becomes more like Ben and a hero, but like that's the whole point of Kevin. Like I remember there was an episode where like they did like the adventure for the episode, and Kevin's like, and the plumbers are there arresting them or whatever, and Kevin's just like, so yeah, I'm gonna go steal now. If you I'm gonna go steal this tech before the plumbers snatch it up, and then they're like, ha ha, Kevin, because like Ben made a joke about him rubbing off on him or something, and they're like, ha ha, sure. Kevin. And it like handles to like a top-down view, and Kevin's just walking away, and then like it cuts to the credits.
What's so interesting? Sorry,
Kevin most definitely stole that tech, like. But it was just.
what's so
Good.
interesting to me about Ben as a character is like he's obviously a hero and he'll do whatever it takes to save everyone, but he's also not like completely against killing either. Like he's a character where if it comes down to killing one person or saving a whole city, he's gonna probably kill that person, right? Like
Yeah.
he's been willing to kill Vilgax. He was willing to kill Kevin to
Yeah.
save the lives of
That,
people.
that was
Like,
brother at the time. That was a lot of the like bonding was in that series and in Alien Force, right? But mostly Ultimate Alien. Like I
yeah,
do like that, but like it's always a big deal like that when that was a focal point, right?
sure. I loved that episode with the Forever Knights where it was a very dark episode. It was about like a slave train and like the Forever Knights were like
Oh
enslaving all these alien armies. And there comes a point where Ben's just like, "Hey, you let him go, or I'm taking you out." Like this can go one or two ways, and they stand down. And it's such a great moment, I think, for Ben's character that makes him very interesting to me, right? Like we love these like morally good characters, but also there's something kind of fun of like a character who's like, yeah, I will if I have to. Like I won't
yeah.
hold back if that's what needs to be done. So I do always enjoy that for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. One of the things about Alien Force was not obviously its themes is very dark, like the atmosphere is dark, like the way it's written is dark. But like the first 5 episodes of, and by the way, did you know in like the 8th or 10th episode of Alien Force, Ben gets outed?
Yeah, he should have.
I was just that's kind of crazy. Like he kept this and obviously they wrote it in a way that it made sense for him to do that. But I was just like, wow, you like waited like not even before the like 10th episode to like out him already. That's like a finale kind of thing, and typically, especially for the era of like storytelling we grew up in. But the darkness I was talking about was when Kevin got mined by Volcanus.
Mm-hmm.
That was like I like that gave me nightmares when I was a kid, and then
Oh,
when
really?
I did as a teenager, like not even that long ago, because I got my roommate to watch it, and I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna love Alien Force and Ultimate Alien. We're probably gonna hate Alien Force, but I want you to watch the first 5 minutes of the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you all like the really cool shit I've been telling you about happens in Omniverse. And then he just didn't. He fell off after Omniverse. But I got him into it hard, bro. And so we were watching that episode of Alien Force together where he gets mined, and I'm like, this is like brutal. Like this is like he's I don't know, bro. Like if Ben and Gwen didn't show up, he was just gonna be there forever.
Yeah, probably.
If you think about that, like Volcanus had no intentions of ever like not letting it, like, you know, why would he? He's an endless money resource slave thing. Like it's just like that's just so messed up. Like for like a show, like, by the way, this was like really early on. This was like the first couple episodes.
Yeah, that's like episode 3 or 4,
And then
I think.
Followed by Michael Morningstar, which was like even worse.
There's such Ben 10 has like got this like resurgence of people watching it, and there's a lot of reaction videos going on, and seeing the like tone change from classic the Alien Force is very like it goes kind of hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like Alien Force was so. I love like dark like kid shows, right? Like these like in between where like they're made for kids, but also not just for kids. Like I love the Ben 10, the Young Justice, the Justice League, the Generator Rex era of shows.
Freaking like there were times in the in classic where it got dark. It got that level of dark, but it was always overshadowed by some. It was always overshadowed by something very like offsetting in tone, right? Like
Sure.
the whole episode they got stuck as gray matter, and like some dude was trying to like alien experiment on him, like he was legit an alien. I was about to say that.
Sure.
But no, he was just that was so like creepy. He took him home in like his lunchbox. I don't know if you remember that.
That was a very fun episode. I want to answer this question before I forget.
Yeah.
Darren, are you liking Fringe so far? So I started Fringe last Saturday, and I finished Lost recently. I loved it, and now I'm starting Fringe. I'll start episode 2 today, and I liked it so far. I thought episode 1 was pretty slow, but I'm here for the long game because I hear the show is incredible. And I'll keep you guys posted. I'll probably make a tweet about it probably every 5 episodes or so, just to kind of give y'all an update. But yeah, I like it. I'm excited to see kind of where it goes. Oops.
Fringe, that's on
yeah.
HBO, right?
It is. It's an older show. It came out like 2011, I think.
Introduced it.
J.J. Abrams.
He looked at it because we were watching Last of Us. I think Wednesday or Thursday, and he told me to add it. He's like, I think you'll really like this, and I'm like, I gotta watch it. But
yeah,
do you remember the really, really old show? It's called Slider.
I don't. Doesn't ring a bell.
It was It only ran for like 5 years, from 95 to 2000. It was like canceled before we were even born. But it was like on reruns before like streaming services took over.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. There's a lot of great shows out there though that I've just not heard of.
Sure. I'm in that boat. Like, there's a lot of great shows that like I'm not familiar with. Like,
sure.
There's this Viking show they like want me to watch. I'm supposed to also watch Game of Thrones, and then there's a spin-off for Game of Thrones, and there's a lot. My mom tried to explain Game of Thrones for me, and I'm like, you're telling me this is this dude's sister, and I'm just like, some of the topics that are crazy.
Game of Thrones. I binged Game of Thrones recently over the summer. I binged it over the summer. And I really did love it. It took me a bit to get into it, but it's a really fun show. Everyone's sleeping with everyone though. You kind of just gotta accept it.
Do you remember the show? It was because like superhero things were becoming a big thing. It was called just Heroes, and they had a following series called Heroes Reborn.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a show I have been meaning to watch that show for a literal years, and I have not.
So I like the characters in both pretty evenly, but that's one of the few series where I think Heroes Reborn was actually a little bit better than Heroes.
Oh, interesting.
And I might get flack for that. I don't know.
Sure.
Well, the whole point of Heroes is the fact that like the time traveler guy, I forget his name. He had such a Japanesey name. I don't know when you guys could drop his name, but he could teleport and time travel, and he was like super badass. He like saw the end of the world, like he saw everyone get like it looked like a nuke, right? And then like that was the whole thing, and then like they stopped that because Claire is like invincible or whatever, and I'm just like, I don't know. I always thought I need to rewatch it so I know what I'm talking about, but I just thought Hero was better in certain aspects. It was a lot darker. I think it was better in my opinion. Plus, I think the guy that was like Hyra. Thank you, man. You're the best, Naruto. Seriously, you are the best. You've one of the greatest animes of all time. Just saying. But it's just like he had a son, right? And like, he was like way more of a badass than Hyro, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, I just really liked it. And then there was this like Mexican hero who died with super strength, and that was it. And then his brother like took up the mantle, and his brother had like no powers.
Yeah, it's a show I'm gonna have to. I've been putting it off for so long, but I will have to watch it at some point because I hear season 1 of Heroes is really good, and then I hear it get a lot of flack after that. But I bet the rest of Heroes is still fine. I know there's a lot of actors in that show that I really enjoy from other stuff.
They had a pretty solid cast for the time too. Actually, it was pretty stacked.
What's that?
I said I'm pretty sure if I remember right, the cast in those shows were like pretty stacked for that time.
Yeah, for sure. Now we've been streaming for about an hour and a half. So before I let everyone go,
okay, thanks.
Okay. So around what was I gonna say? Oh, The Last of Us. I do quickly want to talk about The Last of Us while I have you on. Are you enjoying The Last of Us currently?
I really am. I liked that I think I told you this before stream. I really liked that we got to explore with Sarah more. Cause Sarah's spoiler.
Spoilers for the first 2 episodes of The Last of Us.
Sorry, we got to explore Sarah more, which I thought was more impactful to the overall story. Let me not. Thank you, Darren, because I was about to be like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I'll tell before we dive into talk about it a little bit. I don't want to talk about spoilers for the games past the first 2 episodes because I know there's so many people who have not played the game, and I'm actually so excited to see people like just already for these first 2 episodes. It's so fun seeing people get to explore this story like for the first time, because I'm not a gamer, right? But I finished. I'm not much of a gamer. I just bought a PS4 a couple years ago, and since then I've only completed 2 games, one being Spider-Man PS4 and one being The Last of Us. And like that is just like it's such a journey. Like that game is such a great journey. One of my favorite stories I've ever experienced. So I'm so excited to see people get to experience it for the first time. But yeah, I've loved it. I think that I've been throwing the word perfect around, and nothing can be perfect, right? But like as far as like adapting a story, I don't have a single issue. Not one.
Really close to being perfect. Like it's really good. Like actually, as far as adapting a story, my main concern was obviously there's like distinctions in between story, and that's necessity, right? When you're adapting media from another media, you need there to be. It can't be carbon copy because then what's the point of watching it?
Yes.
And there have been quite a few major distinctions.
Sure.
That I've really enjoyed. My main thing with but they've also adapted like certain iconic scenes from the game into the movie, which I think that's what I'm talking about. And I don't know. I feel like they did that very well. And one of my whole things is like, I love the Percy Jackson books and the Heroes of Olympus book. And you know where I'm going with this. Hello, Roman. You know where I'm going with this, bro. The movies were not good. They were horrible adaptations. They were good movies. They were horrible adaptations.
I agree.
I'm glad that The Last of Us is not following in that same fail. They're not resorting to that same kind of failure, and I really am impressed. And I'm curious and very eager to see where they take this.
Percy Jackson was really funny because I remember loving them when they first came out because I didn't know the books really. Like I just watched the movies. That was it. So I'm like, these are really fun. And I remember tweeting it, like tweeting how much I liked the movies, and people were like, "What the fuck, bro? These suck. They were horrible." And I am really excited that Disney Plus is doing those new ones from the creator of the writer of the book. Like he's in charge of doing it, and I think that's going to do very well.
Because I don't remember if it was Universal Studios or 21st Century. It was someone they basically throws out Riordan. Like they were like, "Yeah, you get to be a part of this." And then, like, they were like, nah. And then Riordan, like, dropped the receipts. Like, he dropped the emails. It was like, yeah, they froze me out. I had nothing to do with this.
Yeah, that sucks.
He emailed them. He was like, listen, bro, my fan base is going to hate this film. They're going to hate you guys. You're going to have so much bad PR if you release these movies the way they are. And they just didn't listen to them. But, no, I'm very... I actually didn't miss our teacher. Didn't she get us into reading those? Our ELA teacher?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, she was very big on like the myth, like Greek stuff. And yeah, she showed us both those movies. Dude, I think she enjoyed them.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
For real, she was so cool.
I think. Honestly, I think there's going to be a thing that happens, like, because The Last of Us has been extremely popular, right? This is their biggest premiere this is their second biggest premiere since House of the Dragon, which is, like, an absurd show. And this shows have done very well. After 2 episodes, this show has already been renewed for a second season.
That's the Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah. House of the Dragon was a prequel to Game of Thrones. And it got like a crazy like 13 billion first watchings for like the first night. Like it was absurd. So there's no beating it. But like I think there's going to be a thing that happens where like there's been this like argument over the years of like bad video game adaptations, right? And you just can't do it right. And I think we're finally in this era where like that's not a thing no more, right? We are getting. I mean, it's still a thing. Like Halo came out, people hated that. But like we got The Last of Us and we got Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario, and it seems like we're finally getting up to a place where like people are realizing how to do these adaptations properly. And even Percy Jackson, I think that's like Percy Jackson and The Last of Us is going to prove, hey, let's adapt these projects properly. Like let's do that from the get-go.
Naruto, real quick. Hayden Pantier. Is that Noah Bennett? Is that like or is that the Hyro character? I can't remember. Please and thank you. Comment. That's like a French name, right? Like Pantier, Senor Pantier. I don't know. That's a pretty cool. Last name. I wish I had like a fancy sounding. I'd wear like a suave suit if I could pull off a suit, and I'd just be like, have everyone call me Mr. Pantier. That'd be pretty good. Like a French. That'd be awesome. I don't know.
You've got a pretty cool last name. You're named after Steve Irwin, right?
No, he's with an E. That's not fair. Don't do that to me.
You can't.
No one could
people won't know, man. What they don't know won't hurt him. Just say that he's your father. They'll believe you.
I did that for all of elementary school. I said that, and like no one believed me. They're like, "You're full of crap." You're full of crap. I was like, "That's crazy." Yeah, they were like, "You're full of crap." I'm like, yeah, I am. I really am.
All right. We've been streaming for about an hour and a half now, and I think we are going to be wrapping it up. I want to give a big thank you to Renegade Noah for hopping on here and chatting with us. It's been a while. We need to do this again. This was so much fun.
This was so much fun, and I'm sorry to the viewers that we started when your fellow streamers were on, but
that's on me.
Pleasure, man. Regardless, we got on here, we had some fun, we catch up. Pleasure's all mine.
Absolutely. Do you have anything you want to shout out? Any socials or anything like that?
No, I'm not famous. Maybe because next time I want to revamp everything after my fight. But other than that, well, the pleasure's all mine.
Man. I wish Noah the best of luck. He got a fight coming up, and he's gonna do great. I believe in him.
Oh.
He's gonna I don't know what the right word to say. Kick butt. Is that okay? Can I say kick butt?
That's all right. Let's keep it PG for the viewers.
Let's kick some butt. Again, thank you, Noah. But I will see you guys on the flip side. Bye bye.